Welcome back. I'm here today with Dean Sivara. He is the VP of Ideation at SAP right here in Silicon Valley. Dean, welcome to today's show.
Thank you, Alan. Glad to be here.
Thank you. And so, Dean, how did you give us your background, how you got to where you are today?
Okay, great. Grew up in Seattle and then came to Stanford to go to undergraduate, got my industrial engineering degree. Then went to Wharton Business School and got my MBA in Philadelphia. And then started a 16-year career in management consulting. Worked for firms like Deloitte, Ernst & Young, IBM Consulting, and then kind of my final 4 years in consulting was with a smaller firm called Kurt Salmon Associates, which really focused on the retail industry. After that, I then took a job with Cisco Systems for 11 years. My first 3 were actually in Paris, which was a lot of fun with my family over there. And then eventually ended up at SAP for the last 2 years.
You've had a remarkable career and one that's diverse. I'm sure that brings that unique skill set to the table. So at SAP, you're with a division called Ideation, or heading up that division.
Well, the group is actually called Global Business Incubator.
Okay.
And it is a true incubator of new ideas. So let me help you understand, when a company looks at innovation, they look at maybe build, buying, or partnering. My group represents the build portion of that. So people will often ask me, do you buy companies and bring them into the incubator? So we have another group. We have actually 3 groups at SAP. One is the venture capital group, which is, you probably know very well, they invest money in small startups or growth companies. The second group would be called corporate development, which actually acquires companies. And over the last 3 years, we've acquired SuccessFactors, Sybase, and Ariba. And then the third group is my group, which is called the Global Incubator, where we incubate new businesses and new ideas. So we start with a kernel, an idea, and that's kind of where I am in the ideation piece of that. I actually work with folks that have good ideas, both internally and externally. They come to me. We build a business case around that idea. And then we present that to management and say, hey, here's a winner. We think this is something that SAP should do in adjacent markets. So again, we don't focus on the big ship, if you will, the ERP, the finance, the HR, the supply chain. We really look at adjacencies, things that SAP is not currently doing.
Innovation always has to do with thinking outside the box. Can you give me a wacky case or an example of something that was totally out of the box that you introduced?
Well, one of the areas that we looked hard at and are getting into is around virtual currency. So people have heard of Bitcoin, have heard of other currencies, and virtual currencies really range across the board. You have frequent flyer miles, which are a virtual currency because you can use those miles to trade for something of value to you. So we're now looking at creating let's say an SAP coin that would probably be used more in the loyalty space. So you as a customer of SAP will get coins as you buy certain solutions or do certain things with SAP, and then you can use those coins for benefits to you. So that's another interesting one was a connected car. We were looking at the first use case was around electric vehicles, and vehicles will run out of energy. The car will ask you, hey, you've got 20 miles left. Do you want to recharge? You say yes. We have 5 charge stations near where your location is. Do you want me to reserve one of those for you? Yes. It'll take you then, drive you to that station. It'll reserve it for you. It'll pay for it. And then when you get there, it'll say, hey, by the way, there's a Starbucks around the corner. They'll give you 20% off of a latte. So that's kind of building a platform for drivers to get information that'll help their journey.
It's amazing. Years ago, we talked about artificial intelligence. And it was a novel concept, a computer thinking. But now we're in a stage where it's happening. I mean, this suggestive marketing, just like you said, the battery's low. Do you want to charge it now?
Yeah.
And let me show you what you need to do.
Yeah. No, the whole area of machine to machine or Internet of Things is, I think, going to continue to grow as machines get smarter. I mean, another area we looked at was actually smart vending. So if you think about a Coca-Cola machine, it today is a fairly dumb machine. You go up to it, you put a coin in, you get a soda. In the future, it will be able to talk to the inventory system and say, hey, I'm running low on Diet Coke, send me some more Diet Coke. It'll be able to talk to the maintenance system and say, hey, one of my light bulbs is out, please fix it. And then the third area, when it gets very sophisticated, will say, hey, here comes Alan. I'm going to sell Alan not only Coke, but there's sandwiches and chips here as well.
Yeah, I'm visiting here today with Dean Sivara. He is the Vice President of Ideation at SAP, a company all about innovating and creating solutions for the future. Dean, we need to take a quick break. We'll be right back after these messages, and I want to get more into the entrepreneurial role that you play with companies. We'll be right back after these messages.
With current laws, we have left our children an enormous financial burden. Even though they may be too young to understand it. At GrowCo, we care about you and the ones you love, and the quality of your and their lives. Call us today to see how we can help. 877-CPA-2006.
Helping you along the way.
Welcome back. I'm here today with Dean Sivara. He is the VP of Ideation, working at SAP to create new solutions for the problems of today. Dean, we talked a little bit about what ideas you're coming up with. Anything from the vending machine at Coke, saying I need some more Diet Coke coming back in my machine, to fixing maintenance and light bulbs. And we talked about the electric car of, low on battery. Tell me where the charging stations are. When you're in your position, it's very entrepreneurial.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you know when you have a good idea? What process do you go through to kind of vet out this is a good idea or not?
Yeah, it's a little bit of quantitative and qualitative. I mean, there's a little bit of gut feel in it, understanding kind of where the market is going, where people are heading. Again, we look primarily at business issues, so we're not as much focused on consumer issues, although as we mentioned in the electric car example that you stated, we solve a business issue for a big company like a BMW. We're also solving an issue for a consumer. But on the flip side, we also do quite a bit of quantitative analysis. We really try to understand the marketplace, understand the competitors in that marketplace today. When we looked at the connected car example, Audi is already doing something. Nissan was already doing something, Chevrolet, GM. They're already all down the road. They're working with Microsoft. So you have to look at the marketplace. You can't just say, oh, geez, that's a great solution. It'll solve a problem, and let's dive in. You have to look at not only the economics of it, but you have to look at what the competitors are doing. And then probably maybe the biggest issue or challenge we have is where does the idea come from, and is the entrepreneur passionate? And will he drive it? Because we find if somebody really has an idea and wants to make it happen, and we give them the right resources, they can be successful.
Do large companies always look for large ideas?
There's some truth to that. I mean, we can't probably invest, having this big machine, you've got to feed it with a lot of revenue, if you will. So we look at ideas that are in the $100 million range. So we're not looking at businesses that'll make us $5 million or $10 million. They've got to, over a 3 to 5 year period, hit that $100 million mark. So that also kind of narrows the spigot on the types of things we look at.
And when you put these ideas up and you feel that you're going to move towards implementing that, how do they find resources for making it happen?
So that's a good question, because many large companies, Cisco, SAP, Oracle, et cetera, they struggle with innovation. They struggle because the main business takes up all the resources. And there's always customers saying, hey, I'd like this feature or I'd like that it in green, or I'd like it in Chinese, et cetera. So the resources are all diverted towards the main products that make the money. They are taken away from the innovative new ideas that kind of get squashed. So we had to allocate a bucket of money for us to do these new ideas and protect it. So that others wouldn't come and say, hey, by the way, we've got to do this new solution or this money-making solution. We've got to take that money away from you. So it's the corporation deciding that, hey, we need to be innovative.
I'm visiting here today with Dean Sivara. He is the Vice President of Ideation at SAP. Dean, we need to take a quick break. And when we get back, I'd like to talk to you about the direction that SAP is going together with looking at the cloud and what we should expect for the future. We'll be right back after these messages.
He's the world's most trustworthy man. Tax filing deadlines are scheduled around his vacation calendar. The IRS agent who audited his client apologized.
I don't always advise people on their taxes, but when I do, I save them every penny legally possible.
GROCO CPAs and Advisors.
Come to GROCO and stay wealthy, my friend.
I'm visiting here today with Dean Sivara. We've been talking about his role at SAP as the head of ideation, which focuses on innovation, new technology ideas for the future. And can you share with us some of the success that you've seen at SAP that was interesting or rewarding to you?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the projects, in fact, there were two different projects that led to the same type of result, were actually in the third world. In India, there are over 8 million stores that have no connectivity to the cloud or to any connectivity, any internet, et cetera. So one of our new businesses was to focus on those 8 million small stores, owned by one person, where we provided them mobility into their store so that they could do ordering, they could do pricing, et cetera, which allowed them to drive information back to the consumer product companies, the Nestle's, the Unilevers, so that they could do more planning and more efficiently get the goods to these retail stores. So you now have a retail owner that has some connectivity through mobility, not through internet, funny enough, that is able to run his business more efficiently, make more money for himself, but also serve his consumers at a higher level. So that was incredible. The second one, along a similar vein, is we did some work in South Africa. South Africa has a disparity of incomes. Most of the people are poor. But it's interesting, when I went over there, they all have cell phones. It's really incredible. No matter how poor they are, they have a cell phone. And so we were able to work with local banks, local retailers, local consumer product companies to put everything again on the mobile phone so that the retailers could do their retailing through the mobile phone, ordering, receiving, et cetera. And then the consumer could actually do their banking through the phone. So I think 75 to 80% of the people in South Africa don't have a bank account. They keep it under the mattress. So banking the unbanked was one of the big strategies for the banks in Africa, and we were able to help them through the phone. And so I was actually there watching young people work with older folks that had a phone to help them understand how they could do banking through the phone. So those were two really rewarding projects that we worked on.
It's amazing. I guess we're always stuck in the mindset that we need a building and an infrastructure, to execute on ideas. And with the virtualization of this world.
Yeah, it's becoming incredible.
It's changed.
Yeah, it really has.
So what direction do you see SAP and the cloud moving towards?
With the acquisitions of Ariba and SuccessFactors, we are a cloud company now. Our heritage is in on-premise, the big software put on-premise that keeps companies running, and that will probably remain, pieces of that, but we're now putting that together, complementing that with cloud offerings. You have Salesforce.com, you have Workday, others like that service our customers. So we're now trying to battle them on those fronts around sales, around CRM, around HR, et cetera. So I think what you're going to see is more and more enterprise-level applications going into the cloud. We have a new database, if you will, called HANA. It's an in-memory database that really has changed the dynamics around many use cases. For example, in healthcare, we're looking at using HANA to help us in the digital genomics area. And genomics is, obviously a new science where they can look at your genes and help you understand, hey, you are at risk in these areas. You should be doing these things. But it takes today a month or two to get your genomics read and understood. And we're looking to drive that from 2 months to 2 weeks to 2 days to 2 hours. We want it to happen. Our dream is to have it happen while you're visiting the doctor.
When we look at the world today, and obviously it's a force that we're connecting a lot of people together. Are people coming to you saying, Dean, we got a need and we got an idea to go with how to fill this need?
Yeah.
How do you operate in your space?
Yeah, that's where do the ideas come from?
Right.
It's interesting. They come from the outside. They come internally. They come from customers. It's interesting. A group of actually bankers in the United Kingdom sent me a note and said, "Hey, I've got an idea for SAP." And this is an idea actually that we're actually evaluating right now. His idea is that when you go to a website for LL Bean or The Gap or furniture, when you go shopping for furniture, you can only order through one website the items that actual owner of the website provides. Let's say I want a lamp from Home Depot. I want a couch from IKEA. I want a chair from Sears. You have to go to 3 websites to be able to do that. And his idea was to build a platform that allow you to order all of those items on one website. So you would still order from Sears, you would still order from IKEA and Home Depot, but all the order transactions, the back end, and they're all probably SAP systems, would work so that your billing and the supply chain, et cetera, would work seamlessly. So I thought that, again, that solves a real problem that people have.
Novel concept, a one-stop shop.
Exactly. And it's harder than it sounds, right?
So, Dean, if a person has an idea, says, I have a real need and a solution to go with how to fill that need, how do they contact you?
Yeah, we're out there. You just go to SAP. You can go to the Global Business Incubator. You can go to the development side. You can find us. You can find me on Google me, and it's dean.sivara@sap.com. Send me the idea. We work together with all of the idea submitters on a business case. So we look at everything that comes out. And it has to be a big idea, though. That's the only thing.
I've been visiting here today with Dean Sivara. He is the Vice President of Ideation at SAP. Dean, thank you for being on today's show.
I enjoyed it. Thank you, Alan.